All right, welcome to is this episode 20? Are we on episode 20? I think I say that every time I open.
You usually say episode 18 every time we open, but this time, yes, we are on episode 20.
20 episode, yes, this is our 20th episode. We are those Muckrakers. We are the Shouty Radio people, coming to you live from the white privilege bunker that we hide in, wrapped in our white male cisgender privilege blankets. I'm
cis heteropatriarchy.
Our cis heteropatriarchy bunker. I'm Peter,
and I'm Pat.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel weird opening up like that, but I always like whenever I look at stuff, I always go, well, I am coming from a place of white male patriarchy, so.
Yeah, and our political views are definitely like lying liberal Soros paid cucks. So, got to announce that straight from the get-go.
Yeah.
Oh, that Soros money, Peter. Just rub it all over your skin. Isn't it so awesome to be so well paid by Hillary Clinton, who stops by with a check every day?
Yeah, I'm getting so much Soros money that I was so broke yesterday that for dinner I ate tuna out of a can, a slice of cheese, and a half of a tortilla wrap, along with pickles and other accoutrements I found in my fridge.
Yep, I'm so poor that I got a new puppy the other day, and I had to name him Emergency Rations. That was his name.
Speaking of puppies, I'm a father now since we last podcasted.
You're a father? Do tell.
Yeah, I found a kitten underneath a hearse outside my house, and he is mine now. He is my son. I've named him Edgar Meowlin Poe, and he's kind of an asshole.
I know that people have been talking about all the Facebook posts you've been doing of him.
Have they?
Yeah, they've been telling me about it. So yeah, I've noticed Peter got a new cat. It's all over Facebook. Like, is it?
Wait, who are you talking to about me and my son?
Benefield.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm like, our circle is small. We only know like 3 people. I was like, who the fuck is he talking to? Yeah.
The guy that does our the art for our show.
And hopefully,
about you and your cat.
And hopefully we'll be willing to do the art for our merchandise, which we're just going to go ahead and roll the ball on, even though we have like 10 listeners.
I see. So what we decided to do is just have Peter buy like a bunch of it, 10 or 100 or whatever, shirts or coffee mugs, and then they'll just stay in his closet until someone wants to buy one.
Yeah, right. Or we offer them out as prizes for people to give us what do you call it? Likes or stars,
subscribes,
on any of the
ratings. Ratings on iTunes is what we really need right now, so that we can, we need enough ratings so that we can have a rating. We don't even have an official rating.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, well, I think one person, a close friend. I burned all my friend cards, and they all kind of like. I think a few of them like the show, but I noticed they didn't all rate it. And the rating is what we needed, but now I'm too embarrassed to go back and go, hey, guys, can you go back and give me, like, some ratings with the stars?
I think that you should just tell them about it as though it's a new podcast. Just tell them, yeah, this is a new podcast I'm doing. I guarantee you most of them didn't even notice the name of it last time, so they won't realize they're going to the same old one again.
Well, a coworker that listened to it said it was impressive that we could just go back and forth like this with no script. And I'm like, that's why I think we would be great. We would do great in prison together. You know what I mean? Like,
how so?
As long as we could, I don't mean like with the other prison stuff. I just mean as long as we could be cellmates, we'd never be bored.
Yeah, I mean that is ideal, being bunkmates with someone that you don't hate in prison. But yeah.
See, this whole thing, my girlfriend hates this. Like the other day. We didn't get in a fight, but we did have a bit of a tiff because we were driving back from dinner at Applebee's or one of those places, and traffic was really annoying. And I do I do the thing that I do when I'm really annoyed in traffic, and I sing like half songs to myself, and I just make noises, and I'm kind of like just generally annoying and ADD.
Oh yeah.
And apparently it was just like nails on a chalkboard for her.
That reminds me of anyone I've ever been in a car with. If I'm talking, is they soon wish that I would not be anymore.
It just reminds me of anybody in my life. When I'm talking, they just wish that I would not.
Mostly has to do with like family and stuff. If I'm driving anywhere with back whenever I was a kid, I'd ride somewhere with my brother, and he'd be like, "Oh, you sure have a lot to say today, don't you?" Like, "Oh, okay, I'll be quiet."
Um,
Or my favorite was with my dad. I didn't realize this until way later on what he was doing, like later on in life. But anytime I'd start talking in the car on family trips, he'd turn on the radio and just gradually turn it up until I stopped talking.
that's beautiful, man. Um, my mother
I,
would
I
do it,
like I like when I was still so young that I didn't realize he was just trying to get me to stop talking.
and that's why you guys
I
have
didn't
such
know.
a that's why you guys have such a strong father-son relationship now.
Yep.
My mother would do this thing when me and my sister would get in a fight, is she would just start singing like old gospel hymns. So
Hmm.
me and my sister would be like in the car, just like fighting or arguing. Or yeah,
Amazing
yeah,
grace.
exactly. Yeah. Mom would just be like, "How sweet the sound," and we're just like, we would start trying to argue louder, like, "No, you're stupid,"
Yeah,
and
you're
like,
stupid.
and then she would just get even like, "A wretch like me," and we're like, "Mom, stop! We're trying to argue," and it was beautiful. It would blow the argument up. Like we couldn't argue anymore because you can't argue
Start
with
arguing with her.
yeah, you can't argue when someone like you're trying to fight somebody and someone else is just screaming "Amazing Grace" just over your
I
fucking.
once was lost,
You know, I kind of want to do
but
that. I
now
want to
I'm...
do that in a Sarah Huckabee Sanders press conference.
just to see if you can like shut her down.
Yeah,
I
whenever
don't
she's
know what you're singing. I've never heard this song before. Let me tell you, if God was here, he'd be real upset right now. You singing about wretches and stuff.
whenever Sarah Huckabee Sanders is on TV and like justifying why the United States now has a policy of stealing immigrant children from the arms of their parents
Yeah,
as a
our fucking
deterrent.
Kidnapper-in-chief is completely okay. Is completely okayed a this thing to where we just steal children now. It's happened like what 1,250 times or so, and it's just continuing on. And
I
Jeff
believe I
Sessions,
saw a thing. I thought it said it was closer to 6,000.
that might be like
Maybe I'm sorry, maybe 2,000, maybe 2,000.
maybe
But they don't
Jesus.
know because they don't. Anyway, yeah. I just whenever she's doing her whole well, you know, I just want to be like, swing low, sweet
Sweet
chariot.
chariot.
And I don't know if this is actually
Come forth to
a
carry me
gospel song, but
home.
I've always found that anytime you start singing like down by the river, because there's a lot of gospel songs about rivers, right?
Aye.
You don't actually have to know it, but
What,
yeah.
what about yeah, dude looks like a lady? Is
No,
that a spiritual or?
no, that's not spiritual. It's kind of a homophobic or transphobic song, honestly. I think.
Is it?
I think so. I think by the standard of, it's hard to say because I'm a cisgendered.
Oh yeah, by 20 whatever we're at right now, 2018 standards it might be.
Yeah. Just like Mrs. Doubtfire is supposed to be a transphobic movie.
I always thought that because of I think of Mrs. Doubtfire when I hear that song. I wasn't thinking of it as phobic. I was thinking of it as a celebration of, hey, that dude looks like a lady. That's awesome. That's his style. It's very well defined. It's ladylike.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude looks like a lady. Not, oh, no, dude looks like a
But
lady.
I think
You know
the
what I
problem
mean?
with Mrs. Doubtfire is all the comedy is at the expense of like, isn't it weird that a dude is dressed like a woman? You know what I mean? Like, kind of like the whole Jim Crow era. Like their whole thing was like, isn't it weird when black people try to do things? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
yeah.
It's like, oh, look at those black people trying to act like people.
Yeah, and
like,
so yeah, that's
oh.
kind of Mrs. Doubtfire. It's like, oh, look at a dude dressed like a woman. Isn't that weird and creepy? Like, yeah. I don't think it was very transpositive because I think all of his problems were that he was a man dressed like a woman.
Yeah, because the court tried to say he wasn't in his right mind because he did that at the end of the movie.
Yeah, so there you go.
Ooh.
But yeah, so we got a lot of stuff happening in the news this week, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
United States. What is it the old McDonald's thing says, like 1 million
Had a
served.
farm. Yeah, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that McDonald's.
Yeah. Uni-
7 billion served?
Yeah, United States, 2,000 children served, as in stolen from the arms of their parents and just taken away and put in detention centers.
But so one of the worst things you can actually the worst thing you could ever do to a human being is steal their children from them and tell them you may never see this kid again. And that's what we've started to do to anyone we catch crossing the border. And not, by the way, two things. One, not all of them are criminals, and two, just because someone's an undocumented worker doesn't mean that that's
Right.
necessarily a crime or that they should be treated
They're-
like a
They're
criminal. And also, even if they are a criminal, there's not a single country on earth that punishes their criminals by stealing their children from them.
yeah. The
And
argument is
also, fourth is that our economy relies on migrant workers like this, and if we don't have them, it really will, like, we're gonna hit a recession because of the huge dip in not being able to fucking get crops picked in time. Like,
not just
that
that, but
Republicans
all of
need
like
them, and they pretend like they don't just so that they can get the racist vote.
yeah, all of the things that like, I mean, it's not just jobs Americans won't do, but like, just immigrants.
Jobs Americans can't do, like,
Yeah.
because to quote Stephen Colbert, I don't think you realize this, but most plants do not grow at knee height. You have to like bend over to reach them, and
Yeah.
it's hard.
But yeah, so like that's the problem is like, and everyone I've heard they're like, well, as Sessions said, if they wouldn't break the, if they wouldn't break the law, then they wouldn't have
But
their
not all of
children.
them are, because some of them are asylum seekers.
Yeah,
and
and that's
it's
the
legal
thing.
to seek asylum.
According to the UN, anybody seeking asylum, other countries have to take them and give them a fair hearing before you take their fucking children away from them, and like put them in a detention. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, it's very like
They do it. Yeah.
there was one detention center that has a mural of fucking Donald Trump up, and I'm like,
fucking
you guys,
orange monster.
you Nazi fucks. Like, I've gone to like.
Are you required to heil Trump as you go past it?
So I would be surprised if you didn't. I can't wait till it comes back. They're like, oh yeah, so we went ahead and started putting the kids in ovens. And if you look, I'm just saying, if you don't want your kid to go to a gas chamber, maybe don't break the law. Like, we're getting to that point.
I was thinking of the gingerbread house, right? And they'd have like an old crone that takes the kids away and fattens them up for the stew.
Except in that one, the kids accidentally stumbled upon the old crone. The old crone didn't go seek them out and rip them out of the arms of their parents.
Yeah, as their moms scream, "My kids!" And just,
but like
you
that's
get to watch her soul shatter on her face as they're drug away.
And here's the thing that like that
evil
I really thought about, and this is this is the scary moment. This is the tipping point. This is where we start that slide down into fascism. Is that if we can do it to children, there is nothing stopping people from doing it to me and you. Because the thing is, listen, man, like, people generally love kids. People generally care about what happens to kids. People don't care about my ugly fat ass. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, we're already okay with kids being shot in the face all the time in schools because we're not doing anything about that. So we're already okay with watching even white children get shot. Republicans are cool with that now.
Oh, you brought up a
we're
news
not
story
allowed
that
to even discuss.
You brought up a
gun
news
safety.
story I wanted to talk about.
But now we're just stealing children by the thousands as well. So, yeah, Republicans are definitely anti-children.
I mean, like, there's no excuse for it. It doesn't make any sense. Whether you break a crime or not, like, you should, and, like, that's the other thing, too. The way that there should be due process. We talked about this last time. Like, there should be a process. You should be taken to a place that's less like a prison and more like just, a housing complex or whatever, or let go on your own recognizance or whatever if you're deemed not a flight risk until the court can hammer out your sentencing, right? So, you and your family come over here and you're seeking asylum. All right. Well, you're gonna stay here and your court date's gonna be here, and then if the court deems you to not be a flight risk, cool, you'll have your day in court, and if you for some reason are deemed like your asylum request is kicked out or whatever, then we'll escort you back over the border, send you back to your country of origin. I don't know why that's so hard to just follow the process of the law. So speaking of children getting shot in schools, so let's pivot. So you remember the Parkland shooting?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember how the school monitor guy saw the shooter and then didn't do anything and kind of like ran away?
Yeah, because they were saying, well, it's the only thing to stop a bad guy with a gun's a good guy with a gun. So we actually had a good guy with a gun there, and he bolted.
Well, this guy didn't have a gun, but he didn't do anything about it. This guy's name was Andrew Medina. He was a security monitor at the Majority Stoneman Douglas High School. He saw Nicholas Cruz step onto campus, and he thought something was wrong, and he radioed another monitor and goes, hey, man, keep your eyes open. He himself did not confront the shooter. Now the report comes out that this guy had a disciplinary committee wanting to fire this guy because he had sexually harassed students.
Yep.
So, all right.
So
So
he's
this is a 39-year-old like baseball coach and security guy at a school who got suspended for 3 days after the investigation, and the panel recommended him being fired. So he had some friends somewhere in the school district. He apparently asked out one female student. 39-year-old man at a school asked out a female student, and then he whispered to another student, "You are fine as fuck."
ugh,
Yeah.
gross.
So this human piece of shit not only was sexually harassing students, but then when a school shooter came on, was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go sexually harass someone. Like, dude, at the very least, have some honor and go fucking fall on your sword and die with some dignity, you piece of crap. Like,
So, are you ready to be super mad about something else?
I'm already super mad about this. This dude still works in the school district. He got transferred from Stoneman Douglas High, but he still works for the school district.
Yeah. So,
One of the girls he sexually harassed got killed in the shooting.
Well, Andy Slavitt is my source for this, the guy that used to run Medicare under Obama. And no one's been talking about this, and it's been going on since June 7th.
What?
The Trump Department of Justice has ordered courts to dismantle pre-existing condition protections and other consumer protections.
Oh yeah. I already knew that was the thing. Like he's quietly. That's why people's insurance is going up. Like he's dismantling the only part of the insurance that wasn't any good or made any sense, which is they cannot deny you because of a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, and I mean, millions of people will die if this happens. And Trump specifically said on the campaign trail, people will not be dying on the streets in my administration.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen, though, actually. 3 career Justice Department officials quit on June 7th in protest of this. And people that. Andy Slavitt said, this is a quote, people who care about public health don't do this. People who care about the rule of law don't do this. And remember all the talk we've had about inflation in the past?
Yeah.
Specifically throwing more money at companies who have had no intention of spending it, and how that causes inflation, right?
Yep.
From the tax scam. Well, guess what? Inflation is rising at the fastest rate in 6 years, combined with what we know about the Fed raising the rate multiple times, as well as the massive increase of debt deficit caused by the tax cuts for the rich. All that's happening. But hold on, I'm actually reading the wrong thing here. Trump once again takes a swing at the ACA. Besides June 7th, what he said, since better coverage for more people for less money is just being a dream. Hold on. This is what happens whenever I don't have my all my ducks in a row before I start going over
I mean
something.
that's
But
the
he once
danger
said
of
he
everybody.
once said better coverage for more people for less money, but that's just a fever dream now. Since anyway, go with what you're about to say.
I mean that's the major problem with everybody so hyper focused on like the immigrant children thing is brilliant and beautiful. That takes so much energy because it's such a horrific thing that all the other horrific things he does are kind of like no one is able to focus on them. Like
Yeah, he's dismantling the Affordable Care Act one piece at a time.
yeah.
Like the guy that built the car over 20 years, except tearing apart healthcare.
Like I mean, where does this fucking stuff end, man? Like well, I'll tell you what
I
else
mean,
is
it ends with his removal from office, but so Mueller needs to hurry the fuck up.
well, even that may be in danger now after all the shit came out with Comey. Fucking Comey, you piece of crap. Like I'm so fucking sick of Comey, dude.
Not
So
really
like
that much happened because of it. Like a couple people were talking shit, and that's it, right? Like that's the only anything they found is one FBI agent said to another one, Trump's not going to win, right? And the other one said, don't worry, he's not going to win. We won't let him. But outside of that exchange, which could easily have been in jest, Nothing happened. No conspiracy, no nothing. But because two people from the FBI said it, Trump's going to go, see, look, right there. I was right all along. Spygate conspiracy.
Yeah,
Sad.
that's the problem. Is just like Comey helped
I
fuck
mean,
the election. Um,
because
Com-
that's the problem is that people on the side against Trump are so godly, for lack of a better term, that any little blemish they have stands out like a beacon. Meanwhile, Trump is once again protected by the bed of nails effect, where he does a million shitty things a day, so no one thing really stands out and it gets ignored. He's tearing the Affordable Care Act apart, and so little attention has been paid to it that that could easily have completely gone over everyone's heads. They can completely miss the fact. What I was trying to read earlier was that he's making it so that the penalty for, or how in order to make the individual mandate work, and without it, the entire thing falls apart.
yeah,
We have to have a penalty for not having health care. Trump's making it so that it's a $0 penalty for anyone that doesn't have health care.
yeah.
Ergo, there is no individual mandate. The court said you cannot get rid of it, so he said, okay, we'll keep it. We'll just make the penalty $0.
Right.
That way, it's not being enforced.
And that's the whole thing. Is that like for the insurance
So,
thing to work, because we still wanted to do it with insurance, because and this was what the great failing, and I think I've talked about this before, of healthcare was, and it made me very upset, is that you can't have the insurance companies involved if you're going to offer a public option, because then
yeah.
people don't need insurance.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm still on the side of we should just have universal health care. Like, why the fuck not? Every other civilized nation on
Right.
Earth has it.
Well, my whole
We
thing
should do
was
it like Canada, except now apparently we're at war with Canada, so
well,
wonderful.
well, hopefully if I get shot in that war, I can stumble over to the Canadian side where I get free health care. But the whole thing was like, all right, so my whole thing was I wasn't happy with the way it was passed, but I was happy because I go, you know what, we've got it, and we'll fix it later. Because I did not anticipate the untouchable Donald Trump becoming president. Because here's a universal fact that applies to everyone else. Once people have something and it's like a positive, if you're the politician that takes it away, you're fucking done. So
Yes, but here's the thing. You're fucking done next election cycle. So it's just like a lot of people in the Trump administration just break laws and break laws and break laws, because once you've committed enough felonies to be put away for life, what the fuck, if you're still free out in the public, what the fuck is stopping you from committing more and more and more and more crimes?
And
they can only lock you up for one lifetime.
And I think the deal is, and here's the scary thing, and this is
Trump is breaking an astronomical number of laws, and the people under him are breaking even more, because they're like, oh, fuck it, they can only put me away once. Why not just go for broke?
And here's the thing, is that like their end game at this point has to be, we can never leave office.
Yeah.
Because once you leave office, like, dude, like, you're all going to jail. So, of course, it becomes readily apparent to us that now their end game is to crush democracy, create a dictatorship, and never let go of power.
Yep, and we already have evidence that they are sort of inching that way. Like, Trump's been floating that idea and floating that idea. Just recently, he was caught on camera saying that he wishes that my people, meaning the American people, he calls you his people, he wishes that my people would respect me like they respect Kim Jong-un's people respect him.
I think
okay?
the
they bow
exact
to
quote
him.
was,
they listen to him when he talks.
Yeah, they sit up and take notice when he talks. I don't want my people to do that.
Yeah, because if they don't, he'll shoot them.
Well, if you're lucky. If you're unlucky,
Yeah.
you get to see your whole family tortured and murdered in front of you, and then you'll die. And then you'll be put in a gulag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a camp if anyone doesn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like it's really apparent to anybody that Trump, the reason that he cozies up to dictators is A, they have something he wants, which is untethered power, and B, they flatter him.
Yeah.
They tell him.
You know what? They act the way that he wishes he could act and
Yes,
get away
with
by
impunity.
killing reporters, killing people that say bad things about him, and all their people praise them. That's what Derp wants.
Yeah.
Derp the horrible.
And I mean, I'll go ahead and make this
Trump.
statement to our 10 listeners right now. I am not Trump's person. Trump is not my president, and I will never be his person. And like my dad told me something. Go ahead.
He is the president of the United States, but he is not my fucking president.
No, he's an
I did
illegitimate.
not vote for him. He's illegitimate. It's another thing. He's president in title alone because he did not win that election. The popular vote is in the majority of people, right? The democratically elected president, still Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
She won by 3 to 5 million votes. And they're not illegal immigrants voting for her, okay? That's what Trump tried to say is, it's just illegal immigrants, folks. If there weren't illegal immigrants, I would have won by 3 million.
Nope, you didn't win because even with all the Russians' help, you still lost the election. But my whole point is, my dad used to tell me something when I was younger. He said, you don't have to respect the man, but you have to respect the office. I say to my dad, should have stayed alive, because this would have been some shit to see.
Turns out I don't have to respect the office.
Yeah.
It has been befouled. It means nothing because the president himself is trying to force people to stand up and salute the flag. And here's the thing about the flag. Does it deserve to be stood up and saluted? Sure. But the second you tell someone they have to do it, it does not deserve to be stood up and saluted because it no longer represents the thing that deserves to be saluted. Do you understand?
Yeah, exactly.
The flag is meaningless at that point. Throw it on the fucking ground and burn it.
Yeah, because the whole point of the American flag was like, man, I'm gonna do what I want, and if I want to salute it, all right. But if I want to take a shit, okay. Like that was the whole thing. The whole point of freedom, like, and yeah, like it's it's upsetting that like he's done this thing where he has assembled the Republican Party around him, as in like they know again that he's their only, they've gotten in too deep with him. He's their only access to power. If he goes down, they're all going down with him.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Something that's concerning to me is that now that we are alienating our allies at the G7 summit that happened since our last podcast, which some foreign leaders were calling it the G6+1. And what did Trump do there? He refused to sign the document at the end of it, right? Like he signed it, but then he retroactively unsigned it later because he got upset at Trudeau, and he had his people go on TV and talk shit about Trudeau, and he's just like stirring the pot with allied nations, right? He's alienating our allies and pushing them away from us while cozying up to Putin and saying, why can't it be the G8 again? It used to be the G8 until Russia left one day. They were kicked out of it because they invaded Ukraine, right? They committed war crimes, so they were punished by being knocked out, and Trump's like, yada yada, and then they were gone. You should reinvite them. Sad.
Yeah,
but so what I'm worried about right now is that we're forming a new axis of evil with Russia, North Korea, and America being like the three dictator lands.
Well, it won't even necessarily be like Russia, North Korea, and us, because there's also a large resurgence of Nazism and fascism in Western Europe,
which Putin might have been behind Brexit too. Speaking of,
yeah,
fun fact,
yeah,
because I had a thing on this. Hold on. Aaron Banks, the millionaire who bankrolled Nigel Farage's campaign to have Britain leave the European Union, if anyone doesn't know what Brexit is. He was deeply compromised by Russia at the time. He had invested in Russian gold mines, and Putin had his ear to whisper sweet nothings of worldwide chaos, which he and Brexit would help cause. So yeah, Putin's puppets are worldwide and have been fucking up the world on many fronts.
Well, here's the problem. You know why? I can tell you exactly. I know. You know why we're fucked, right? Because
Putin's discovered the magic formula to make the deplorable dipshit stance to the tune of his racist rhetoric.
The thing is, like, we've been interfering in other people's elections forever because we were always real good at it, right? But
yeah,
we made the cardinal mistake that every as they said in Rocky, like you made the mistake that every fighter makes. You got civilized. Like, we got old, right? We fucked up. And so these other people have understood how the internet works. They understand social media, and they've moved into the new century of cyber warfare. If you watch that meeting with fucking Zuckerberg with our fucking aged, retarded, like, senators lobbing questions at him that don't make sense, you go, oh my God, we're fucked. Like,
so when I go to log into Facebook, it asks me if it wants to remember my username and password. Where do you keep that username and password written down as CEO?
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. And they kept asking him questions that didn't make sense, and he couldn't respond to them because they were old people questions about the internet. Like, there was one, and I can't remember which senator it was like, if I have this correct, and they're like looking at a piece of paper. It says that you have 46 data points. Is that correct? And how many data points? And Zuckerberg's like, Senator, I don't know what the like. He's like, Senator, what the fuck are you talking about? I hear sometimes on the internet a series of tubes becomes misaligned. Huh?
Oh, you got to ask Al Gore about that. He's the one that invented the internet.
But like the whole point is, these are the people that are in charge of our cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah.
So clearly we're fucked. We're fucked, man. Like those are the people at the helm. It's like, oh my god, I don't need like they're out like our whole Senate. Like there was a photo of us meeting with China for some kind of I guess trade deal. And it was a great photo op because all the people on the Chinese side were like very young and you know what I mean, like slick and virile, and our fucking side was just
because China doesn't just plan for the next fiscal quarter like we do in America. They plan for 100 years from now. Like they know who's those virile young men. They already probably got their replacements lined up for 40 years from now.
Yeah.
But speaking of China, fun fact, they just put another $50 billion worth of tariffs on America today in response to Trump's tariffs, which, to paraphrase Yoda, begun the trade wars have.
Yeah, and they're going to go about as well as the sequels, too.
And also Canada's putting more tariffs on us because they're like, yeah, no, fuck y'all. We're not going to let you just keep doing whatever you want, which is good. I'm actually happy that other countries aren't just letting Trump be an asshole with impunity anymore. They keep being diplomatic and humoring the asshole, but you can't let him push you around
Here's the problem.
so much.
As long as Trump is still benefiting from the Obama era, and you can even argue before, basically Trump is
Obama gave us such an amazing economy that it's taken Trump a lot of effort to destroy it, but he's persistent.
So until the fucking dumpster fire is at people's front doors, because that's the argument we've heard people like, how is your life worse because of Trump? How is your life worse right now? I'm like, well, I have the ability to plan for the future, and I can tell you that these policies are not good. The other thing that makes me mad is people are doing, and smart people are doing this, and I wish they would fucking stop. Trump does stuff, and then they'll write a whole article about how it was economically sound. And here's the thing, because I read a whole thing about how like NAFTA, like his whole revisiting of NAFTA may have not have been a bad thing, and so maybe NAFTA,
Trump didn't think it through like they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? Like Trump just does things. He's a toddler that just does whatever sounds good to him.
It would be like if I went around machine gunning. If I went around machine gunning people, and it turns out that two of the people that I machine gun randomly out in my life happen to be pedophiles, they could be like, well, you see, what Peter's doing is he's systematically eliminating pedophiles. Like, it's happenstance. Like he's not doing anything for like, and
plus,
maybe NAFTA.
Keep in mind, a lot of the Republicans' wealthy benefactors are also writing laws that they just sort of pass to him and have him rubber stamp. So he will occasionally do stuff that might actually benefit the economy because the people who make money don't want the system through which they make money to explode. So by revisiting NAFTA, that might actually be a good thing for one of the wealthy benefactors that pay the Republicans.
But the way we did it is, if you want to renegotiate trade, then you renegotiate trade deals. You don't just like start a trade war with multiple countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's ridiculous. He's not doing anything but badly hurting America's standing in the world. Here's a quote that I dug up. Fuck, where the hell are you?
I mean, like, I'm fine, good. I want America to hurt because, like,
here it is. Our allies don't trust us, our enemies don't fear us, and the world doesn't know where America stands. Do you know who said that?
I'm gonna assume it was Ivanka, and she's stealing a quote from Michelle Obama about something.
It was Melanie that stole her.
Sorry,
quotes.
Melanie. Sorry. Uh,
Yes, we know it's Melania. We like to call her Melanie.
yeah.
Now. But anyway, it was Marco Rubio about Obama in
I
2015.
see. That's the thing. That's the other thing about Obama. There are people I fucking loathe, like Marco Rubio, and I go, "Oh man, is this gonna be like an action movie where like me and Rubio are like back to back with pistols?" And I'm like, "I've always hated you, Rubio," and he's all like, "You sound like my ex-wife," and then like we just start like shooting bad guys because that's like it's making weird bedfellows.
But oh no, but that was Rubio saying that about Barack Obama in 2015.
Oh,
Not
okay.
about Trump.
I take back that whole cool movie scenario with me and
Right.
Marco Rubio. Yeah.
Because that's a pretty solid write-up on how Trump is pretty much everything the Republicans claimed and warned Obama would be when it comes to foreign policy.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they keep being what they made Obama out to be, and
Yeah.
the problem with that is that a lot of the deplorables believe them. So whenever you try to explain to them how bad Trump is, they're like, "Well, Obama did the same thing." It's like, no, he
Well,
didn't.
I-
And now we have so many years of Fox News programming to try and break them from before they can see just how bad Trump is.
The other problem is that like the Republican Party can't break free from him because McConnell and the ringmasters won't allow any dissent. And additionally,
Neither will Fox News.
and additionally, any of the candidates that are running for re-election or running in their primaries or whatever, any time that they're like, I'm not with Trump on everything, people are immediately like, burn his children, fucking get him, and then like,
Yeah.
they fucking lose. Like
They
I don't-
call them cuck publicans. And
yeah, I don't know if you heard about this, but and I was kind of sad to see him go. Mark Sanford's out.
Mark Sanford.
Okay, let me take you back to a magical time around when Michael Jackson was still alive, right? So there was this a South Carolina senator, I believe he was governor, named Mark Sanford, and he was oh my god, he was great. He's just like this this guy. He was a U.S. representative, and
Shimona.
he got into this weird sex scandal where people are like, where is Mark Sanford? Where is Mark Sanford? And he goes, they were like, his aides were all like, oh, he's hiking the Appalachian Trail right now.
Oh, that guy! I
Yeah.
remember him.
And it turns out
he's considered the most famous person to have ever hiked the trail, even though,
yeah,
as you're about to reveal,
even though he was busy having an affair with Maria Belén Chapur, an Argentine woman.
yeah, he never hiked the trail. The most famous person to ever hike it didn't actually go.
Yeah, so this is why he was governor. The governor just disappears, right?
Actually, you know how I once hiked the trail? I was out there I count our entire trip, including the bus ride, as being part of my experience with the trail.
Uh-huh.
I was gone for 18 days. I never did when I got back calculate how long I was gone, but it was 18 days, right?
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking that was, a really short time to have been there for someone who set out to do the whole thing, until I went to the Ford place this week to get my car fixed. It was like one of the taillights had gone out, right?
Mm-hmm.
While I was there, they had a plaque on the wall congratulating one of the managers that work there for going out to the Appalachian Trail for 2 days.
That's weird.
It's like, really?
Well,
That's an
was he
accomplishment?
also screwing an Argentine woman instead?
Could have been. I don't know,
Anyway.
it made me feel a lot better about my time on the trail.
So-
It's like, you know what? I did way better than that.
It was crazy. Like he disappeared. Turns out he was having an affair instead.
And if
like,
anyone here didn't know, Pete here was on the Appalachian Trail for 3 months.
yeah, it was. We did remarkably little distance for 3 months. But I think we only did like 400 miles.
Ooh, what state did you make it to?
New Hampshire.
Okay.
So
Better-
this guy,
Better than
Mark,
gassing out at Old Hampshire.
Mark Sanford, like, oh my God. There was a great thing on the Daily Show where he goes, because the thing about Mark Sanford was he got in trouble, it died down, and then he would give another press conference and go, I'm just feeling terrible about banging these Argentine women. I'm exaggerating, but like he would just do more stuff to like kind of incriminate himself and like make it worse to the point where on the Daily Show they go, listen, God killed Michael Jackson to get you out of trouble, and all you had to do was stop talking. So this guy, I guess he was like, I don't agree. Sometimes when I'm banging these Argentine women, I don't agree with Trump, and he's out. He's gone. He lost his primary.
Yeah, because he disagreed with Trump a bit.
He
'Cause
was
the reason I keep banging on Fox News is because they do tell they do tell the voting base how to think. Ergo, if anyone says something that goes against Judge Janine's narrative, against Sean Hannity's narrative, then that person's considered a crazy person and a villain and the enemy by anyone that watches Fox News. And you can say, well, how do you know that that's the propaganda and what I watch isn't the propaganda? Because, first of all, I have more than just Fox News as my source. I have the New York Times, Washington Post.
You mean, I'm sorry, you mean the failing New York Times?
I do not watch CNN anymore. If any of the listeners is not aware, I do not watch CNN, and I will not watch CNN. Look, I love Don Lemon. I love Wolf Blitzer. I love Anderson Cooper. I will see them whenever they do other shows, okay? I'm not watching CNN. Fuck CNN, because CNN, there's one time in my life in which I did watch a lot of CNN, and I always like to see what the news story would be every week. It was delightful for me. It was a treat. And then they started to cover the missing Malaysian airliner, and they kept covering it. Because, like, they started covering it, and I'm like, you know what? This is kind of boring. I'll tune out. I'll turn in next week. The following week, I tuned in, and they were still on the Malaysian airliner. And I'm like, okay, well, that's weird. They never have the same story in 2 consecutive weeks. It just bled over to a new news cycle. And then the third week, they were still on it. And the fourth, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm not watching this stupid airliner. I'll tune out for a month, right? A solid month. And I tuned back in, and they were still on it. I waited a month and a half, and they were still on it. I waited 3 months, and they were still on it. And they never made any progress. In like 6, 7, 8 months of covering nothing but the Malaysian airliner is the only thing they cover. They made no progress. It's missing. We don't know what happened to it. And that's it. That's it. They never found any hint of it. They found some trash in the ocean once. Ooh, but that had nothing to do with it. It's just trash in the ocean because there's trash in the ocean because it's a big ocean and we dump our trash in it. And so anyway, point being is that fuck them, fuck the Malaysian airliner. I bet Wolf Blitzer stole the goddamn thing. It's in the basement at CNN. It was all a setup from the start, right? That's my conspiracy theory for the week. Hashtag Wolf Blitzer stole the airplane.
Part of my feeling is that everybody at CNN goes, you want to go on vacation? What if we just run this Malaysian airliner thing for like 2 months and then we go to Cabo? What do you say, Wolf? And he's like, I'm in. And then so then they keep fucking like, we're not gonna write any, just keep that going. We're having a great time.
And it got actually they beat Fox News's ratings while they were covering that story, and that's why they just kept going with it. It was great for ratings. That's why I say that CNN is not liberal biased media. It's sensational biased media. It wants to do whatever will get them the most ratings.
Right.
And here's the thing. The idea of a liberal bias in the media is something invented by Richard Nixon to explain why the media kept calling him a crook back before it was proven that he was a crook and they had to get rid of him. But the Republicans took that and ran with it to explain why the media was like coming down hard on Bush for murdering people or whatever, right?
I mean, like, and
they just kept running with it.
I heard a thing today because
there's no such thing as the liberal biased media. That's always been like it's part Richard Nixon's legacy, and it's part an anti-Semitic legacy of saying, oh, Jews run the media and they're blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well,
so it's sort of a combination of that.
It's like there was something going on.
And please keep in mind there are people that believe that are not anti-Semitic, just they've heard it from people who were anti-Semitic,
right.
or heard it from people who heard it from anti-Semites. It could be like third or fourth hand anti-Semite. So at this point they don't realize that they're part of an anti-Semite letter chain of horrible beliefs, but they heard it, so now they believe it. And then if you tell them that that's an anti-Semitic belief, they're like, well, I don't hate Jews. I just hate the media who's coincidentally controlled by all the Jews. Don't call. It's like, no, because you heard. Who did you hear it from? I heard it from my Aunt Sally, and she's not anti-Semitic. Well, where did she hear it from? Lumpy Hannity. There you go.
I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like, like for instance, like Roseanne Barr, is like, I'm not racist. I've done so much for civil rights, and Wanda Sykes was my head writer. I can't be racist. And I go, here's the thing about racism, dude. You are what you do. And we've talked about this before. If you do racist shit, you're a fucking racist. If you murder people, you're a fucking murderer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you could set out today and say, you know what, I'm going to help so many people. I want to help so many people, and then you just stab everyone you see on the street with a knife. It's like, well, I want to help you, but I keep stabbing you.
Yeah.
But
Guess
I'm
what?
not a murderer because I want to help you.
Guess
Okay?
what?
But knife,
Guess
knife,
what?
knife, knife, knife.
Yeah, you're a fucking stabber. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you are what you do. Your actions dictate how we see you. If you say some racist shit on a public platform, because here's my thing. I'm sure that I've said enough bad things. I'm sure I've said enough bad things to hang myself. And when we roll out the weekly news blog, I'm sure it'll get a lot worse. But here's the thing: if I had like a super like really really big like Twitter following, you know what I mean? Like I was a super famous person, especially if I was old like Roseanne Barr. You know what I would do?
Get yourself fired from whatever job you have.
No. I would hire
Say
like,
racist shit on accident.
no, I would hire a Twitter publicist.
Ah.
Basically a filter between me, like a young person that's good at Twitter, that knows.
Oh, and you'll tell them what you want to tweet, and then they'll tweet it for you correctly.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I had some observations about the Mexicans down the street. I didn't see you tweet that out for me. Yeah, it'd probably be best if we don't tweet that.
Like
Are you sure?
I would
Well,
like,
okay.
I would pay Michelle Wolf.
Yeah.
I would set up a, I would set up a private like WhatsApp with Michelle Wolf and be like, hey Michelle, I'm thinking about tweeting this.
I love your Giuliani.
Sorry,
America!
that was supposed to be my Roseanne, but her and Giuliani are kind of in the same range.
Kind of. Oh, I didn't finish my thought earlier because I got on a CNN rant, but I have like a dozen different sources for where I get my news for one thing, and for another is plus also like whenever stuff starts trending on Twitter, you can look up and see why it's trending, where everyone's talking about it from, what the original source is. Okay, ABC released an article. Well, then that's my source. But the reason why I believe that where I get my sources from is accurate and that Fox News is propaganda is that Fox News will say a bunch of weird shit, and then when none of it comes true, they just march forward and ignore the past. They don't explain why they were wrong. They just pretend like it never happened, and they just keep pushing forward with a new conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, it's like
And also Fox News will debunk conspiracy theories like Uranium-1. They themselves will say, well, this isn't true, and then Lumpy will come on and say, Uranium-1!
Yeah. So I listen to Lumpy, and here's the one.
But also, and finally, the main thing that makes me think that my sources of news are accurate is that it's predictive of the future, right? Like, I can look at it and say, well, if this source says he's like a Trump's like a dictator, so he should do dictator things, right? He should pal around with dictators. He should wish that his people would bow to him like they do with Kim Jong-un. And, oh, look, I predicted the future. That's exactly how he's behaving.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing is like when I listen to Lumpy Sean Hannity, he could replace his feed of him talking with just the sounds of him sucking a dick and sound bites of Trump going, Bigly. Because all that dude does, he doesn't talk about the news. He is, he's the president's hype man. He's the equivalent of Flavor Flav in Public Enemy. If Chuck D was retarded. Yeah, like
okay.
Hannity might as well have put a giant clock on his fucking chest and go, "Do you know what time it is?" Like, because that's all he does.
The what? Yeah, okay, guy. I was trying to remember his name.
Oh, you're talking about Little John.
Little John, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. I think he sounds like a good hype man. He has that.
But that was
intonation.
like Flavor Flav's whole kind of job in as part of Public Enemy was he would just come in and be like, yeah man, and fuck John Wayne too, and like Chuck D was kind of like the heavy hitter. But yeah, that's kind of like fucking Lumpy Sean Hannity is like, you know, someone would be like Uranium-1 and he's like, and yeah, fuck Hillary Clinton too, like, fuck you Sean Hannity, you piece of human garbage.
But yeah, that's the reason why I believe that the news I listen to is correct and that Fox News is the propaganda is because my stuff's predictive of the future, whereas they never predict the future. They just say a bunch of stuff that's patently, easily provably false.
Yeah.
And but let's say that all news is conspiring against them. They're still not able to predict the future. If you just look at their stuff alone, they've are not good at explaining to you what's going to happen before it happens. They
Well,
just
the other thing is like,
say whatever will make them look best.
and this is what made me really annoyed today was
And also CNN, whenever the Hillary Clinton email things was going on, CNN was, or not CNN, but other liberal outlets were hammering on her about the emails, right? Ergo, they're not just her hype machine like Fox's Trump's hype machine.
Yeah. But like the problem is like another one of these Trump indictments. I can't remember which one it was on the radio today. It was one of the things where he's in trouble. He's being prosecuted for a crime. His response was like, "This is just a partisan attack," and I'm like, so he's not denying that he committed the crime or that it was a crime. He's arguing that they're only prosecuting him because they're partisan. That would be like me going,
a few crimes. I can talk about them if you'd like.
Well, I can't remember what the specific one he made this comment about, but my whole point is, it doesn't matter if it's a partisan attack. If you broke the fucking law, then
They've
you
done it
broke
for a
the
while.
fucking law.
Like, even with Giuliani talking about how Trump can just pardon himself, how he can pardon Cohen and all that. They're not saying that he's innocent. They're just saying that he can get away with it. Like, they've given up the pretense of pretending like he's innocent.
Well, my favorite...
But one of his crimes is, remember the Trump Foundation?
That,
was sued for being... Trump.
That's a big one. Like
Trump, he had Trump University, and that was a fraudulent university that he paid a huge sum of money to make that go away. And then he paid more for the Trump Foundation thing, which is a separate fake charity. And it's everything that the deplorables pretended like the Clinton Foundation was, right? So what the Clinton Foundation is a higher rated charity than the Red Cross. It's a really good, real charity that Hillary is not enriching herself from, okay? But Trump and the Trump Foundation, he is enriching himself from it, and that's why he and all of his children, well, 3 of his children, Trump Jr., Eric, and Ivanka and Trump himself, are all being sued by the state of New York for fraud because they used money from that charity to pay for vacations and plane trips and stuff like that.
Now, would that be a state or a federal crime?
That's a state crime.
Now, here's what's great about that. We talked a little bit about presidential pardons last time. Presidential pardons only extend to federal offenses. So, if you are being convicted of a crime at the state level, the president has no power to pardon you.
Womp womp.
And I know we're coming up on the end of the podcast here. I do want to share the good news.
There is another crime he's committing lately.
Huh?
There's another crime he's committing, if you just want to hear it very quickly.
Yeah, what other crimes is he committing?
He has reportedly a habit of ripping up pieces of paper, including letters and official documents that are required by law to be preserved in what is described as his own personal filing system. So, so former staffers handling record management for the White House told Politico that they were tasked with taping the paper scraps together to ensure that the administration did not violate legal requirements to preserve presidential records. And there we have it. Trump is constantly breaking the law, and people are forced to go behind him and fix his mess and unbreak the law for him.
Yeah. So the good news. So the good news this week, and there is good news. I'll start with the smaller bit of good news. It turns out that Cohen, Trump's lawyer, who is in some pretty deep shit, is apparently going to cooperate with investigators. I don't know if you remember, but I called it. I go, the man's a lawyer. He's going to cooperate. He's loyal to Trump as long as it benefits him. But as soon as he realizes that he's in trouble, of course he's not going to go down for Trump.
Yep. There's more good news, though.
Yes. Now, this is the big good news. This is what I want to end the podcast with. This makes me super happy. Go ahead. Lay it on me.
Ooh, well, first of all, this isn't the big news that you were just talking about, but Hucka Sanders, she's going to resign. At the end of the year, she's out of here.
You know what I'm interested in with Harris Huckabee Sanders, who I'm interested. Who are we going to get next? Like everyone that turns out to be his mouthpiece. It's like some kind of weird like Batman Rogues Gallery. You think, is it going to be like Killer Croc? Is it going to be the Penguin? Who fucking knows? I mean, we already had
before, and then we got a Mr. Freeze the following week.
Yeah, I was about to say we already had Clayface with fucking Harris Huckabee Sanders.
Yep. So very quickly, also something that happened this week was we lost net neutrality.
We did, and I mean, they're
And
fighting it at the state and local level, and I think there's enough money on the other side of that I can't imagine it's going to stand.
and also the Senate was pushing for what do you call it? The Senate wanted to keep it. It was the House that we're having problems with.
Yeah.
But just I wanted to very quickly explain what net neutrality is for our audience, and I was hoping I'd have more time to explain than I do, but we have a few minutes. I'll make it quick. Net neutrality says that internet service providers, which are the people you buy internet from, must give you the same access to every website. Without net neutrality, nothing will get faster, but they can throttle the speed of whatever they feel like, so things will get slower.
Yeah.
This is because it saves them money, and also because they can make money from it. Imagine, if you would, a world where you had to pay an extra $20 for the social media package. That is, Twitter and Facebook ran at full speed. Or another $20 for a video package where YouTube and Netflix ran at full speed.
Yeah.
The end of net neutrality means that all kinds of fun stuff like the above can now exist. This is 100% Trump's doing because he created the environment where Republicans can have all their deplorable bullshit rubbers, or all their deplorable bullshit rubber stamped.
Yeah.
Sure, a few Democrats are being dipshits, but under Obama, even with an overwhelming Republican majority for 6 out of the 8 years he was in office, this shit never happened. And here at its first opportunity under Trump, it happened.
So what makes this so
Thus,
fucking...
it's far more his doing than anyone else's.
What makes this so fucking dangerous is not even that you'll have to pay more for Netflix, is that it allows internet providers to just kill content they don't like. That's been...
They can censor content.
And I believe, and I'll look it up, but like I'm pretty sure that there was a soundbite where Trump was saying it'd be great if we could just shut down the internet when we needed to.
Yes, he did say that.
Yeah, there's a really great quote, but the point is, we're getting closer to that, because I'll tell you what's been a bane and the thorn in people's sides since the internet came about is there's so far been no real way to control it. There's no way to throttle the information, right? And I don't think they like that. Now we finally have the way. With net neutrality, the government can get in there. You could lean on these companies and go, hey, I don't want this information to come out. It makes me look bad. Boom, dead.
Yeah. So that finally brings us to us ending this podcast on a good note, on a happy note, that everyone's going to be you're going to be so happy, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah, man, I've been ready. You keep giving me blue balls with this.
So, Manafort, Trump's former campaign manager, who Trump claims had nothing to do with his campaign, because of course he does, he's going to do prison time. He's going to actually go to jail. He has been summoned to prison.
Da-na-na-na-na. So here's the thing about like him going to prison was like, and the question with this investigation is like, what does it take for a motherfucker to go to prison? You know what I mean? Like, how many laws do you have to break? Like, how far can it go? Because if we don't put anybody in prison, if this, like, then it means, you know, like nothing means anything. There's no law. But with Manafort going to prison and actually serving jail time, as powerful as he is, this may mean that finally people are going to have to start respecting the law because there may be consequences behind it.
Yep. Hopefully the dam will burst and more people start getting swept away to jail for their crimes.
Well, my hope is that...
The thing that finally did it was whenever it was shown that he had been trying to tamper with witnesses leading up to his trial. Because keep in mind, his trial's in like September or something.
Yeah.
It's way later this year, and he had been pushing really hard to have his court date thrown out altogether. Now, while that probably would have never happened, he has had unilaterally all the different attempts at this thrown out at this point because he was also tampering with evidence leading up to it. So he was already at house arrest with at first 1 and then later 2 ankle bracelets because 2 different people wanted to watch him.
Yeah.
But now on top of that, he's finally just going to go to jail. No more house arrest.
I mean, it's
he's
not a
not
lot.
going to have freedom.
But
And given that there's enough evidence to put him in jail for like 100 consecutive life sentences, he's probably about to see his last free days leading up to him finally showing up to stay in jail leading up to his trial date.
You know, it may not seem like much, but it's a little bit like that stupid scene from the 300, the movie about the Spartans, when like the spear nicks the Persian king, showing that like a god king can bleed. It's kind of the idea of like
Xerxes.
we bloody the giant's nose. You know what I mean? Like this political machine can be hurt, and I think that's the first step in dismantling it.
That's actually how you ended the last podcast too, talking about making the God King bleed.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm all about at this point because, like we said, Trump is. No one's shown Trump the 300, have they?
I hope not.
We
No,
gotta
remember, folks, if they come at you like a turtle, that's when you got to watch out for spears.
like. I'm just more worried about him being like, listen, all I require is that you kneel because I am kind.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Yeah.
All I want you to do is kneel, okay? And then I will kneel, and then you'll spank me with this Forbes magazine, okay? Nice.
Like, for the love of God, nobody show him the really horrible Street Fighter movie that came out in the 90s because he's just going to go around quoting Bison.
Yep. Now, to you, it was the most significant day of your life whenever your village was raided by my people and everyone you love died. To me, it was a Tuesday. Sad.
That's our episode this week.